Did you know that more than 70% of the people report experiencing some form of toxic family behavior in their lifetime? Today, I want to talk about something that's deeply personal and often hidden behind closed doors: toxic family dynamics. Many of us have experienced difficult family relationships that have left us lasting scars on our mental health. In this video, we'll explore how toxic environments affect our mental health and what we could do to heal. Toxic family refers to a family environment where dysfunctional behaviors, negative interactions, and harmful patterns significantly affect the mental and emotional well-being of its members. So some characteristics that show toxic environment are lack of boundaries, such as evading privacy or making decisions for others without their consent. Favoritism, showing preferential treatment to one family members over the others. Constant criticism, belittle, judge, or insult one another, leading to low self-esteem and emotional distress. Emotional or physical abuse, any form of abuse including verbal, physical, or emotional. And finally, neglect, ignoring or failing to meet the physical or emotional needs of a family member. Now, there's many more characteristics that define a toxic family environment, but these are just a few that I've decided to show. Of course, growing up in an environment like this and not having any type of support or release or way to cope with it could lead to low self-esteem. Constant criticism and belittling could lead to feeling worthlessness and low self-worth. Anger and resentment, persistent unfair treatment and emotional abuse can result in anger and resentment, which may be directed inward or outward. Toxic family environments can disrupt the development of healthy attachment patterns, leading to difficulties in forming and maintaining secure and trusting relationships in adulthood. Substance abuse, individuals from toxic families might turn to alcohol or drugs as a way to cope with emotional pain and stress, leading to substance abuse issue. I could really relate to all of this because when I was growing up, there was a time in my life where I lived for a time with my grandma, not my mom, and in total of us, there's 4 of us. So I have 2 brothers and a sister, and then there's me, right? I'm the oldest. And with my grandma, favoritism is one of the characteristics of a toxic family, right? So with my grandma, there was favoritism, which was my second brother. That was her favorite, that was her baby and whatever. And at the end, he was the spoiled one, he lived a better life than the rest of us, you could say. But the difference is that anger and resentment didn't grow at least too much towards my brother, because I understood that wasn't his fault. At the end of the day, he was just a baby, and he grew up. So I don't think it's his fault. My anger and resentment went towards mostly my grandma, because I just feel like, how the hell do you not see us all equally, if you understand me? Because we all came from the same lady, so I don't know, that's my story at least. I have a little bit more of it, but maybe that's for another time for me to share. There are ways that you could cope with these situations that you're going through, and so that way you don't go crazy or feel overwhelmed, Setting boundaries is one of them. Learn to establish and maintain healthy boundaries to protect yourself from toxic behaviors. This might include limiting contact or setting specific rules for interactions. Build a support system. Surround yourself with supportive friends, family members, or support groups. Having people who understand and support you can make a significant difference. Practice self-care. Take time to care for your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. This can include activities like exercise, meditation, reading, or hobbies that bring you joy and relaxation. I share some tips that I do, to feel better. I exercise, I do write, and I try to meditate, but not because of coping ways, but I have spiritual reasons, you could say, on my meditation practices at least. Limit exposure. If possible, reduce or eliminate exposure to toxic family members. This might involve cutting ties or minimizing contact to protect your mental health. What I would do, I would just stay in my room, honestly. I would try to avoid contact as much as possible. I wouldn't really try to interact with her, because I already knew that it would be something, like, let's say I would be in a good mood, I'll be having a good day, but Somehow, some way, she would be able to freaking ruin that day, you know? Now, those are all the resources that there is. There's also support groups. Joining support groups, either in person or online, can connect you with others who have similar experience and offer mutual support, or hotlines and counseling services. At the end of the day, being aware is the key to all of this, honestly, because if you are aware, you can understand, and if you understand, you'll find peace in yourself, and you're not gonna let things bother you as much as you think they would. You know, you gotta put yourself in that family member's point, in their shoes, and you gotta see how their lifestyle was, before you were in their life. For example, my grandma, you know, I know she had a really rough childhood with my great grandma. I know that there was a lot of kids, and that by a young age they were forced to quit school and start working. So she didn't really have a childhood. She had to grow up really quick, aside from her mom being strict and having no education, because they didn't go to school. They didn't have the opportunity to go to school. So if you see that, if you put yourself in their shoes, you get like a little bit, you sympathize them at least, because it's not fully their fault. That's just how they are. At the end of the day, that's what I think. That's just how they are, because that's how they grew up. So they don't know anything else. But by you being aware of the situation and what makes a toxic environment, toxic, you could put a stop to it, and then the loop won't continue on and on and on, because we're all trying to improve. And by being aware and being educated and understanding, I feel like you could go ahead and break the cycle, and at least you're putting a stop to it, and you're not going to continue the loop of the toxicity, if you understand what I'm trying to say. But anyways, I hope all of you guys are doing okay out there, and if you like the video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. Yeah, stay positive out there. Peace.